Iceland, following weeks of intense earthquakes. Tourists in the nearby town of Greinavik looked on.
Happened just seeing lava emerge from the ground, even if it's in a particular continent such as this, it's just fascinating to see just nature in action. It's just like something from a movie.
A spectacle for some, but law enforcement in the area is making sure people in this town stay safe.
Now there's an eruption here near Grindavik, and we have cleared the town and the area, and now we're just securing the area and closing every road to the area, and that's just in process now. But then we are just trying to manage the situation here.
Iceland's Coast Guard is on high alert. It released this footage as it surveyed the peninsula to determine the exact size of the eruption. Iceland is no stranger to volcanoes. It currently has 33 active eruptions. That's the highest number in Europe.
This seems to be a few hundred cubic meters per second. This is quite a bit more than the eruptions seen on the peninsula until now, which were quite small in the beginning.
Scientists say it is still unclear how long this one will go on for.
We live in a twilight world. As you've just seen in that video, there's a few things that seem very off with this latest fissure eruption, volcanic eruption over in the land of fire and ice, Iceland. Today is the 21st of December over on the Matrix calendar. Who knows what the real date is? Nobody knows. Perhaps it's day one. But, you know, if you've been following my work, I recently took a trip over to Iceland around, well, a few days after they declared a national state of emergency and evacuated the small fishing town of Grindavik. Allegedly, it's 4,000 people were evacuated, right? Now, in that video you just seen, it says tourists from Grindavik look onwards to the volcanic eruption. Now, how is that possible when Grindavik is closed off? The full-time residents are not allowed on, and there's no tourism allowed there. So who are those tourists? That's my first red flag, yeah? Who are these people claiming to be tourists, and how are they allowed onto his film set? If you followed my illusion warfare report, I think I've done a good job in showing that you are not allowed anywhere near Grindavik, okay? In fact, let's flip over to Apple Maps. And as you see, even to this day, on the 21st, it's the same situation. It's still closed off, okay? Yeah, even still, this is the furthest I got to was here. And, you know, at the time I got there, they had, you know, like a metal container, kind of a big red metal container, like a welfare station set up at this police checkpoint. So you know this was going to be a long haul thing, right? And even when you start getting into this area, you will start getting text messages from the Icelandic government telling you to get out now. It's not safe and so on. And that was back then. It'd be interesting to know what it's like right now. Because I'm definitely debating going back there. But I know to get onto what I call this film set is going to be very, very tricky. And it's interesting that, you know, yeah, I mean, it's all about strategic location, right? If this is some sort of engineered, manipulated event, which it kind of looking like it is. I mean, some people out there are going to the extremes of saying that that footage that I just showed you at the beginning of this video was a green screen. I don't know about that. I mean, it's definitely possible, but I don't think we need to go there to that extreme just yet. But of course it's possible. You can't rule this stuff out. I mean, the date in itself, this kind of happened, the eruption happened at the beginning of Saturnalia. And, you know, it flooded the media. So, real or not real, it's being used as some sort of tulpa, some sort of egregore, some sort of omen being put into the minds of the masses around the world via the mainstream media, via these Black Mirror devices, okay? So people have to understand that the bigger scheme of things, it doesn't really matter whether something's real or not. It's the idea going into someone's head, into the collective conscious. That's where the magic with a K lies, okay? Because you might not be on board with it, but the whole thoughts become reality model, it's a thing, yeah? Just because you personally don't buy into it, you might think it's very, a white girl reading the book The Secret kind of nonsense. There's been a lot of study into it, into the whole kind of manifesting your reality. And a lot of people are saying maybe manifest is not the word, and maybe selecting your reality is a thing. It's been researched quite a lot. According to Mick Horowitz, it's been researched more than it has aspirin. Yeah, everyone reaches for an aspirin when they got a headache. The majority of people think that thoughts becoming reality is a ridiculous thing and some sort of new agey woo-woo nonsense. I don't know, man. You kind of look at my story and I pretty much feel like I manifested where I am here today and the life I'm leading now, or selecting. Like we said, selecting is probably a better word. So in the grand scheme of things regarding illusion warfare, if you've ever seen my video, what is illusion warfare? The main thing I point out is they're using the power of illusion to get the masses to manifest the reality we are in now. So all they're doing is using good old-fashioned stage magic to create theatre of the mind, which then invokes magic with a K, yeah? And some would say that would be black magic because you're imposing your thoughts and wills onto someone else other than you. That's where it becomes black magic, when you're using that kind of thing to control people. Anyway, I digress. I'm going off topic here. Let's get back to this. So, yeah, allegedly let's get the pens out for this one, I think. Have a sip of my coffee. Right. Let's use blue for the film set. So Grendavik, in my opinion, is a film set. Sealed off from anyone unless you're in the club. Yeah, unless you're mainstream media, Icelandic government, or maybe you're in the geoscientific world. If you're in that sort of club that's further going to fuel this illusion, shit, you're allowed on. Anyone else, any kind of person like you or me, any kind of, person that speculates or questions reality, you ain't going to be allowed on a film set. So that's Grendavik. Allegedly, the volcano fissure eruption. Now, you've got to remember, it's not an explosive eruption like you see in Hollywood films. It's a fissure eruption. Now, I think surely an island covered in volcanoes is going to have volcanic activity. Surely that's not much to expect. Well, that shouldn't be that wow when it comes along. So the response to this is very kind of strange, it's very out of the ordinary, right? Because, let me get the little pointer out. On my little trip over there, on my Illusion Warfare report, whatever it was, 7, when I tried to go around this way and sneak in that way, all of this section here is black, and it very much has like a moonscape with all of the previous kind of I'd assume it's the same thing, a fissure lava eruption, where it kind of just comes up gently and just flows out, cools down and settles. Yeah, no big deal. It's actually very impressive when you walk around here. Like I said, it's very alien, it's very like a moonscape. I might include some footage in this later on. So why is a volcanic eruption happening on a volcanic island that much of a big deal? Is it really going to flow down and melt Grendavik like some Hollywood film? houses are going to be melting and children are going to be running and just melting in the lava? Of course not. Like I said in my Illusion Warfare part, my ultimate speculation was that they are using, volcanic eruptions as a boogeyman to justify further government, the need for government in general. The government has to justify their existence every day, or else people are going to realize they don't need a fucking government. Now, Iceland does not have a military. That's another thing to note. Iceland does not have a military, but it does have a pretty mean coast guard. Their coast guard does look like a NATO navy. Their coast guard ships are huge. They're covered in battleship grey. They're very intimidating looking. And what's even weirder is that Iceland is somehow in the Jeff Nations, which is a British-led coalition of kind of like Northern European countries that are getting ready to take on Russia further in the future. Now, how can a country with no military be in the Jeff Nations like that? I don't know. Well, I think it's the fact that their island is such a great strategic location. I mean, even in World War II, even though Iceland was neutral in the war, Britain invaded Iceland, put 20,000 something troops on there, and then at a later date handed it over to the Americans. And a very kind of fresh and new American military that's, in their infancy, this was a great project for them, was to look after Iceland and, supposedly defend it from any kind of Nazi German invasion. Anyway, let's get back to the pens and drawing and shit. So we know it's closed off. Hang on, let's get to red. We know it's closed off here. We know it's closed off here. We know it's closed off here. So you cannot get onto what I'm calling metaphorically the film set. Okay? You cannot get there. And it's still shut off. Here, and here, like I said, they've got them big metal welfare containers. They are here for the long haul. This isn't some, Yeah, again, that's another red flag, was these big red containers they had when I was there. Like they knew this was going to be a long haul operation, right? These are the giveaways that kind of let you know this is event management, right? When I say event management, I'm talking about the same sort of event management that would go into a festival, a football game, a fucking a comic convention, right? Pre-planning where the toilets are going to be, where the water's going to be, who's going to be able to come. It's all pre-planned. And yet again, how can you be so pre-planned with an event that supposedly came out of nowhere? Doesn't make sense. Prime example would be in the Ukraine war, where, within days of the Ukraine war, the propaganda that you saw on your local high street, buses with Stand By Ukraine stickers plastered all over the side of them were already out on the street. And I know a national marketing campaign takes at least 6 months. Yet these guys have got printed stickers, printed buses ready within 2 days. Bit like the scamdemic. Within like day 2 of the lockdown, this spontaneous lockdown from a spontaneous virus, you turn on the TV, your Coca-Colas, your post office, your Tesco's, Samsung, they already had advertisements ready to go with all their characters wearing masks and social distancing. I saw UPS adverts where they were doing the thing of dropping the parcel on the porch and stepping back with their masks and taking a photo and talking about the new world and the new normal. How could you have that ready so quick if it wasn't pre-planned, engineered and manufactured event management? I really recommend Event Management, a book. It's called Event Management for Dummies. And you just flick through that book and you see all the process that goes into just organizing an event. And then you overlay that with these world stage events and you'll see it's exactly the same thing. Anyway, back to this little map here. So yeah, you cannot get there. So in that video at the beginning with the so-called tourists, tourists are onlooking the volcanic eruption, she said. How? Well, Grindavik is closed. There's no full-time residents there. There's no tourists there. So who were those tourists? They had to have been actors. And you saw that guy. I mean, I don't like to judge people, but he seemed very kind of goofy. He seemed very off. He was like, whoa, 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 it seemed like a movie. You know, who the fuck was that guy? So yeah, again, that's another inconsistency there. Grindavik is closed and evacuated, yet you're saying there are tourists there that can just go and wander off and stand next to this overflowing lava. No. You evacuated people from a from a sinkhole appearing, yet you're going to let them walk around hot molten lava? No, those were actors. They had to have been actors. Or off-duty police officers, or they were either the geoscientific gang just standing around without their kind of costumes on, you know? Because usually they wear a hard hat and a big kind of orange jumpsuit, innit, you know? You know, really over-the-top costume when walking around a disaster movie film set. Now, like I said, if this is pre-planned, which we're speculating it possibly is, they've put a lot of thought into the location. It's all about the strategic location, because only 3 roads going in that are all now patrolled by the police up and down, police blockade entrance, and then patrolled by the police. And then obviously, you know, you're not going to get in via sea, right? Because you've got the very intimidating Icelandic Coast Guard, which is like something out of a NATO, which is similar to the NATO Navy. So then maybe some of you are thinking, well, what about, you know, off-road? No, I've looked at it, yeah. An off-road vehicle would not be able to handle this rugged terrain, right? It's very jagged. It just wouldn't make it. Possibly by foot. You could possibly transverse this by foot, but that's going to be fucking dangerous and, you know, and hard. It'd probably take you a day, I reckon. I don't know. Depends how good you are at mountaineering. If you don't break your ankle and you manage to get there, well, you're immediately going to be met with, you know, police and stuff here. I mean, when I was there, the weather was terrible. Funnily enough, you had a NATO exercise freezing winds, and we had a whole freezing winds type situation sweeping over Europe, and especially where in Iceland, very cold, very wet, on-off hailstorms and whatnot. So there was no kind of helicopters or drones flying around. I imagine if it was a clear day and the weather was a bit more mild, they'd probably have the helicopters and drones out. If they couldn't have the helicopters and drones out, that means the weather's going to be very bad. So you're going to be trying to transverse this in freezing cold conditions, snowy conditions, rocky conditions. And if you don't break your ankle, you're going to immediately be met by the police, who are going to be, you know, they're patrolling up and down here, and they're all around the city of Grindavik. And I imagine they have observation posts or something, people with binoculars on looking, right? And the fact that you're going to be the only human walking around here, I think you're going to be easily spotted, you know. It's not like dense forest, right? It's very much like a moonscape. When I tried to sneak on and I came this way, all around here is black. This is quite an impressive side to go to over here. It's very much a moonscape, where it's all black, where it's that kind of, what they're talking about, a fissure eruption, where it comes up gently, just kind of flows outwards, cools down and settles, and just becomes black, you know? So I imagine it's a lot of that around here, right? This is a volcanic island. Iceland is a volcanic island. There should be no real shock that volcanic activity is happening on a volcanic island. So yeah, that's my speculation. They with no military, they're not going for the boogeyman of a terrorist, and they haven't really got that big of an immigration problem in Iceland. So they can't really go for the whole race baiting tactic that they use in other places, right? So The Icelandic government are using natural disasters and, you know, under the guise of safety for our citizens, they're justifying their own existence, right? What all governments do, right? Never let a good crisis go to waste and so on. I'm pretty sure they could have just left Grindavik alone and just called this a normal, everyday, mild volcanic eruption. Did they have to go to the extremes of a national state of emergency, shutting all this shit down? Of course not, but it justifies taxing the people and so on. What else is there to look at? That's it, really. I mean, I'm debating going back there. I'm very poor at the moment, but I could probably get back there for a 24-hour period. But I don't know. I don't think I'm going to see much. Now, for those people that are going to the extremes of saying it's all a green screen, and sure, I'll indulge that. I'm not saying it's that for sure, but what's interesting is the amount of effort they're taking in stopping people getting anywhere near this place, which is very, very kind of suspicious. Like, you know, I do see why people would go to the extremes of saying there's actually nothing going on there. I mean, when you think about it, right? Let's say it was just let's go there, okay? For the sake of this recording, let's go with the option that it's totally fake. And I don't know, I guess they'd just be they'd be using very bright lighting and stuff to create an orange glow over here. So when people land in the airport, you know, most people, 90% of people, they land in Keflavik Airport, which is the main airport, and then they head over to the capital, Reykjavik, right, down this road. Now, you think about it, right? They land here, and whether they hire a car or get a cab or take the bus, they'll be going down here. And if they're coming in at night time, all they got to do is look over their right shoulder, and in the distance, they might see an faint orange glow. And then that's it for them. Yeah, man, the volcano's real, and it's really bad. You know, as I shown in my Illusion Warfare report, they have, next to their red welfare station, they have about 3 or 4 police 4x4s with their lights flashing. So it's already very theatrical when you drive past here. Like you go past here, you think, whoa, what the fuck is that? You see all these flashing lights, you know, all of these police 4x4s parked up in a blockade to stop anyone like flying through. You see, and then just imagine it, you got to about here, you know, you've already been primed via the mainstream media to think that there's a massive kind of disaster of a volcano. It might potentially melt Grindavik to the ground. You look over and you just see some orange lights, a faint orange light in the distance. You're going to be convinced, right? The average person can be like, whoa, that's crazy, it's so real. And then they're just going to fuck off. They'll probably take, you know, the TikTok war of it. They'll probably take loads of pictures on their Black Mirror pocket devices of the faint orange glow over in the distance, send it to all their friends, going, wow, the volcano is real, and yeah, I was next to it, and all that kind of shit. And further, they will then start, you know, via TikTok, running their own kind of propaganda campaign. And then they're going to fuck off over here to, you know, the main part of Iceland that you go to, right? You know, nobody really goes around here. There's not much going on here. Look, I've been down here. It's quite interesting, but the main juicy part of Iceland is all, you know, what they call the golden circle and stuff. When you basically drive around the you know, drive around the island itself, and you take a look at the geysers, you know, and the fucking the black. There's a black beach over here, and there's ice caves and all that kind of stuff, all going on around here. So interesting that this theatre, what I'm calling it, whether it's genuine or completely manufactured, the response has made it very theatrical. The theatre over here, you're as you land in the country, you are gonna experience it in some form or another as you head on through, right? That's what's so incredible about it. Strategic location, all about strategic location. You can't for sure say that it's real, but you're gonna get the masses to go buy it. I mean, how come it didn't happen, in one of the other alleged 33 active volcanoes that are supposedly happening in Iceland? Yet again, that number 33, a lot of people speculate that's the calling cards of the Masons. I don't know. I think it's more a number used in hypnosis of the masses, if I'm being honest. I mean, I don't know for sure. But yeah, man, what else is there really to talk about? I kind of forgotten what I've said already because I've done 2 recordings. The first one wasn't very good. And now I'm doing the second one, so I've kind of lost track what I've said once already or haven't. So forgive me if I'm repeating myself. But the theatre, when I do my illusion warfare reports, I always go and check out the opera houses and the theatre because we are living in the op era. And the theatre in the capital is exactly 33 miles to Grindavik. Yet again, coincidence or is that just signs we're in a matrix? This is a false reality? I don't know. So yeah, man, I'll put a link into Illusion Warfare Report 7, Illusion Warfare Report 7, when I went over to Iceland. It didn't really get much traction. People weren't that blown away by it because they didn't really see anything, because I couldn't see anything. All I really proved in my Illusion Warfare report is that you were not allowed anywhere near Grindavik. Which is a running theme with all of these world stage events, in that they do a very good job of sealing it off so people like me, you, any kind of person that has the bollocks to question a mainstream world stage theatre narrative is not allowed on. Now, just to be clear, I don't think the police are in on it. I don't think the people of Iceland are in on it. I think there is a hidden hand moving these people around like pieces on a chessboard, okay? They're just regular police doing what they're told to do, same as the military do what they're told to do, yeah? End of the day, it's a pyramid, and the person at the top of that police or military points, and the military or police have to go where they're told to go and stand around and patrol what they're told to patrol. That's the whole point of the police and military, and that's why it's so strict, and that's why it's all about, hierarchy and sergeants, and, the more you toe the line, the more you'll get promoted, the more you follow orders, the greater of a success you'll be in those industries, right? You question reality, you refuse to follow orders, you're out. And that's why our reality has a police and military, right? Order followers, they are very key when it comes to anything. So yeah, hope you found this video interesting. I think we're at the stage now where we don't really have to... I think, you've got to look past things being either totally real or totally fake. Look more in the middle, and this is why I use the word illusion, right? Because even if it's just, a little tiny eruption, 10 meters by 10 meters, if the mainstream media are making out it's 100 meters by 100 meters, and they're deliberately only filming at nighttime where it sensationalizes it, or they're filming from certain angles that makes it look 10 times bigger than it is, that's an illusion, okay? If you're creating a false reality or a false perception of reality, you're creating an illusion. Yeah? And that's what these fucking magicians and tricksters and sinister people are doing, Using the power of illusion to make things appear way worse and way scarier than they are. Fear-based propaganda and all that kind of bullshit. You know how it is. Just thinking, have I missed anything? Is there anything else to talk about? I think that's it. We live in a twilight world. Don't know friends at dusk.